Welcome to the Black Girl Flow podcast, a space dedicated to creating conversation that pushes us to be in alignment and at peace with ourselves and the world around us.
We are about cultivating joy, growth, and success in our life, love, and identity. So join us as we find our flow.
We are your hosts, Liv
and Legs,
two 20-something-year-old Black girls working every day to be in flow.
And we want you along this journey with us.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Black Girl Flow podcast with your favorite podcasters, Liv and Lex. We in the building. How are we feeling? What's the vibe like?
Always great to be with our besties.
I know. Y'all truly are besties.
Yeah, y'all hold it down. For real.
We couldn't ask for cooler, kinder, just introspective, pretty, smart, funny best friends.
No, for real. Like when I log into our Instagram or our TikTok and I get to see all of the people that follow us, I really am convinced. I'm like, oh, these are the girlies. Like these are the girlies that are going to save the world, that are going to make this a better place for everybody. Like the girls who get it.
100%. 100%.
We're just out here slaying. Love it.
Oh my gosh, what's the vibe, Lex? What's the pulse check? How are we feeling?
At this point, you are going to have to handcuff me so that I don't put this Christmas tree up, because I am visioning. I'm counting down the days. Y'all, Liv and I have gone back and forth, and I saw something that was like, you're either an October girly, a November girly, or December girly. And I am a December girly. Mm-hmm. And I try not to ride on the backs of putting down my November girlies. So I'm trying to let the November girlies have their shine. But I'm already trying to prep. Liv knows this. I'm going to be gone for the holidays of Thanksgiving. And I'm like, Liv, can I just prep the house so that when I come back, it's just ready?
Wow.
So I'm just like in anticipation mode.
We need to put a poll out there. Like, at what point in the year is it appropriate to put your Christmas tree up?
Yeah.
Is it before Thanksgiving? Is it after, like the day after Thanksgiving? Is it just like a couple days before Christmas? You're probably like, wrong.
Yeah, that's insane. I'm sorry. I think collectively we can find a happy medium with the day after Thanksgiving feels the most appropriate. And then personal preference can be situated wherever it needs to be.
Can you explain your theory on having one Christmas person, like one best friend that's like super into Christmas?
Yeah. And
then the other one just like isn't. It applies in platonic and romantic, but like,
yeah.
Explain to the people your theory.
Yeah, you basically summed it up. You will find pairs, just as we often find opposites attract, that somebody will be really into the holiday time, like Christmas cheer, lights, joy of the holiday season. You don't even have to be actively religious, just loves tis the freaking season. And somehow those individuals get paired with the most chill or sometimes even anti the holidays. And you really have to make a case. My parents are that way. My father and I really resonate with, if my mother would have let us put the whole yard filled with inflatables for the holiday, then we would have done it. And she's literally like, you can decorate the trees and that's it. And we're like being held back. And similarly, my partner is like, cool, love that. Okay.
For you. Love that for you.
Yes, you get a lot of the for you, for sure. But it's the vibes. It's just the vibes. And so I'm sure anybody who is also tickled by the holiday season as much as I am can resonate with, you know, who they are around you that don't share in the joys of light.
Yeah, it's interesting because I feel like depending on the topic or the season, it gives golden retriever a black cat. And like, this is around the season where I feel like I give more black cat and you give more golden retriever when it comes to Christmas, but we kind of like switch off.
Yeah. Which for you, I definitely understand because your birthday's that season.
So I get a pass?
Well, I think you get your priorities just different for the holiday. So I can respect it. And I think it's going to be my mission to make you a holiday girly.
Wow. Well, y'all will just follow along the eras of convincing me, a December 22nd B-Day girl, how to be more aligned with the Christmas vibes. I think I actually, when you do put effort into everything like Christmas related, I like can appreciate it.
For you.
No. I can appreciate being around people that are like so into something. Yeah. My thing is, I love when people are so into like a niche thing.
Yeah.
So being able to witness it and be around it, I think it's dope.
Yeah.
But hey, we'll keep y'all updated on my Christmas.
Oh, we will.
Status.
Liv will be making the hot chocolate. One thing about Liv, you can count on her for hot chocolate.
Absolutely. Yeah. There we go. I'm the hot chocolate station.
We found the niche.
There we go. Love that for myself. Love that. Okay, so
pulse check.
My pulse check sort of kind of ties into the episode today, where I was recently in St. Louis celebrating my brother. He was getting his white coat. Shout out to him. Shout out to the medical people and the STEM related people in this world. You'll make the world a better place. So I was out there celebrating for him for getting his white coat. And my dad asked us when we were just like all chilling at the end of one of the nights I was up there, like, what is your vice? And we were all just, thinking about it. I came to the conclusion, I already knew this, but one of my vices is food. Like, yeah. In the way that we operationalize vice, it's something where it don't matter if you got $50 left in your bank account. Like, what are you going to spend it on? Mm-hmm. Or like, it's kind of a self-destructive manner in a sense, right? And I feel like this vice of food, of seeking it during stressful times and just using food as a comfort, has in a lot of ways prohibited me from being consistent, which is what we're going to be talking about today, which is, what does consistency look like? How do we understand consistency better and how to show up in a more consistent way? Yeah. And so I've been really reflecting on the nature in which I am connected to food and what it symbolizes in my life. And even down to the ways I consume it. I usually consume food like it's my last meal. Like, I gotta inhale it, right? Yeah. It's not slow. It's like really kind of getting back to what we were saying in our previous episode, a more subconscious inhalation of food. And so I've been doing some more introspective work to understand my relationship to food. And I'm really excited to talk a little bit more about how we can establish more systems within our life to be more consistent as we are pointing out these vices and just becoming more aware of them in like a loving and aware sort of way.
Yeah, I think it's really beautiful. I'm super excited for this episode to be able to tease out what we really mean when we're talking about consistency and all these, I don't know, I feel like such a self-help. I'm like, consistency is key. Like, one thing you gotta do is lock in. Like, once you're consistent, you'll see results. Like, oh my gosh. And one thing about me, y'all, anything that starts sounding cringy, I literally
check out.
I cannot. I actually start laughing because I think it's hilarious. And so I'm excited for us to kind of unpack it and not let it just stay there in that cringe. But life is, doing its thing right now. I think, as y'all know, I've been in a process of trying to figure out what my routine looks like outside of a lot of like systems that I have put a lot of my energy into. And what I keep saying is like my season of betting on me. And so I was talking to my mom recently, and she was like, oh my gosh, like, how are you? Like, how's life going? And I was like, I'm really just trying to take it day by day. And I was like, I'm proud of myself. And she was like, you're having grace with yourself. And I was like, not even. I'm really just trying to figure out the mechanisms and the routine that is most efficient for my life. And also kind of just learning a new part of myself, untethered from all of these ways of being or kind of mandates of how I need to be, and kind of finding my own natural rhythm. Because I was thinking recently, being in your 20s is like being in a constant state of change. Like, we've talked about this before, and even as we were talking about this episode, I was thinking about, we can kind of create our own consistency, but it feels like the consistent part of your 20s is that it is inconsistent. Like,
right.
Like, even my own relationship to my body and like how I'm maturing and things like that. I'm like, wait, what is that? Like, what, this is what, where'd that come from? Like, huh? Where's this? Like, I remember asking my mom, I'm like, Mom, when did you get all your freckles? And she's like, I got them when I was like in my 20s. And I was looking in the mirror the other day and I have like little sun freckles around my eyes. And I was like, I guess I too am in my 20s and my mom got them. And I'm like, you're really kind of having to just keep up with yourself. So when people have been asking me how I'm doing, I'm like, I'm just trying to keep up with me, you know? And so that's where I'm at, in that constant state of like curiosity and wonder with myself, and then trying to create like a new way of being for myself with this kind of new life that I'm living.
Because for those that don't know, you no longer have a full-time job.
Yeah. I'm a part of the freelancer economy.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, you know,
it is literally
it's one of those things where you really have to adapt to a new way of living.
Yeah.
Because there's not as much structure, which I think is honestly such a beautiful thing for the time and space that you're in right now.
Yeah, it's definitely a process.
And when you think about routine and like these rituals that you've been establishing as you no longer have a full-time job, what are the things that are helping you be consistent and consistently get out of bed when you don't necessarily have to do that?
Totally. Just bopping in here because we are going to take a brief break before we continue the conversation. Totally. And I would actually even say it's one step before that. And I think this is the perfect segue into the conversation, is I'm able to do this and engage in this phase of my life because I was in such a season of consistency and discipline that I'm like now reaping the reward of that. And because I'm seeing the benefit of that consistency in my life and the lifestyle, that I really put my head down and was just grinding in my own way. I don't want to say it's like the traditional grind by any means, because I know some people who actually out here grinding and that ain't me. But I think reaping the reward of and the impact of being consistent for a particular phase or in a particular area of your life, for me, it was really my career, to be able to give me the flexibility to make a pivot like this. So I think I'm having a new perspective because I'm seeing that byproduct of a phase of intentional consistency. And now that I can rest or readjust or figure out a different area in my life I want to be consistent, I'm kind of starting that journey all over again. And I think that's important for us to think about, like the ways in which we're engaging with consistency can be from a bunch of different vantage points. And I think that's what I want us to talk a little bit about and tease out, is how that shows up for both of us and how it can be a really helpful tool in making meaning of the different time frames and different eras we're in our life.
Yeah, going off of what you just shared, I would say that my relationship to consistency has always looked very different from yours. I kind of have these cycles of being consistent, and they're more of these splurts, I guess you could call like them. Burst of being consistent. And I think when you're multi-hyphenate and you're interested in so many different things,
speak on it,
you want to have a relationship to all of these things that you're interested in all the time. And it can be very hard establishing consistency when you're trying to do so many different things at once. Like you wake up one morning or you're up at 3 a.m. and you're like, okay, I'm finally ready to put that idea into the world. But sometimes we don't recognize that putting that idea into the world will have to shift so many of the ways that we interact with the world each day. So for example, it may require us to get up earlier in the morning and go to bed at a certain time, which is one habit. It may require us to find an opportunity to work out and move our body during the day. It may require us to set off 2 hours aside to do this one project that relates to the idea. And when we're trying to focus on 3 habits at once, we know that the likelihood of success is very low when you're trying to focus on a lot of different things. And so that's the way that my relationship to consistency has been over the years. And I think I can give myself I end up giving myself a lot of just tough love when it comes to my relationship to consistency, because I'm like, why can I not show up each day? But that has been a journey of introspection and understanding, well, do I have ADHD tendencies? How can I make this practice and this idea of showing up for myself a ritual of self-love? Because what we do know is that self-discipline equates to self-love. And I think discipline relates to consistency. So how can we incorporate all of these things? It's an ongoing journey for me.
I appreciate your vulnerability, because I think, because like you said, consistency is intertwined to so many other practices and energies that sometimes can have a lot of connotations to them that aren't always positively associated, that sometimes our relationship to consistency can be a really heavy weight that we carry in the way we talk to ourselves and engage with ourselves, because it's really nobody's behavior besides your own. Like, now we're talking about what's going on inside the house. Like, this is not somebody else didn't clean your room, it's did you clean your room? And as you navigate adulthood, you're constantly in flux of shifting those responsibilities and those behavior shifts, because up until, many of us are entering into adulthood, so many things were taken care of for us or just weren't in the purview of a child in so many ways. So as you're taking on more, you're also constantly evaluating your capacity to hold that, and it can be a lot at times. And so I think you're right that sometimes our talk and the tough love we give ourselves might not always be helping us get to where we need to be, but is, I think, an important conversation to have with ourselves. I think for me, like you said, my consistency, I don't think, has always been intentional. I think a lot of people have applauded me for having a high level of discipline, which was truly a byproduct of my upbringing and being, raised in a military household that had a lot of kids, and we didn't have the flexibility to be unhinged. Like, it was the ship needed to be in tip-top shape. And so I think a lot of my relationship to consistency has been a byproduct of discipline. And so now I'm trying to think about, what does it look like to make active decisions and behaviors, in establishing certain routines that now are outside of, I'm like, okay, it might not be discipline. Like, what do I actually just want to do? And maybe a little bit different than you, I don't feel like I oscillate as much, but it's still difficult to go against my routine to try and add a layer of a new behavior, a new shift into my day. And so I'm always looking for like the new science hack or way to build habit. We've both read Atomic Habits. We've both read our fair share of like how to change your behaviors in small incremental ways. And so I'm always looking for ways to do that. And for me, it's been really helpful to do things that are similar to other like behaviors and routines that I already have.
And since you brought up Atomic Habits by James Clear, I'd really urge people to look into some of these books by these authors that have created systematic ways for us to contextualize how to be more consistent.
Yeah.
But one of the best tools or things that I learned from that was the 1% rule of just trying to be better 1% each day, which is very helpful for someone like me that's either 0 or 100, but also to find opportunities to reward ourselves. And I know that you wanted to speak a little bit more on this aspect of like what it looks like rewarding ourselves after we do something that we said we were going to do.
Yeah, because exactly what we were talking about. Sometimes we tough love so much that we forget to positively incentivize ourselves when we do something really well. And so, you know, it was funny because Liv and I were having a conversation recently where, you know, you made an active decision to be more disciplined in a facet of your life. And it wasn't an easy choice for you. But then I was like so goofy. And I was like, Liv, you better hype yourself up for this decision. Like you literally have to tell yourself like, good job for being disciplined. I'm really happy. I want to know how good it feels. So I'm like, from your head to your toes, remember how you feel when you make a decision that was in the better interest of your future and the way that you want to live and that honored yourself. I was like, from your toes to your head, like tell yourself like, I love this feeling. This feels really good. I'm going to continue to make decisions that help me like feel like this, because I think we need to just bring to our conscious awareness, like what it feels like to make decisions that are in alignment with discipline and consistency and the results that we want to yield. Because sometimes we're too hard on ourselves about being like, dang, I missed this or I didn't do that. And it's like, it's okay for the 25 days that you did take your vitamins, you know, just because you missed for 2 days doesn't mean you stop doing it all.
Yeah.
Give yourself the hype for the 25 days and pick up right where you left off.
And having a habit tracker, I think, is very helpful in the process of just being able to see the bigger picture, because you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
It's like if I'm looking at the fact that I was active 25 days out of October and then I miss the last week, it's going to feel like, dang, I didn't complete this goal. But being able to see the bigger picture, and I love what you said about hyping yourself up. And I remember that conversation of feeling like, okay, I got this, I'm going to do this. And sometimes it really is as simple as just patting yourself on the back and talking through it. And I think through having those moments, it actually helps us strengthen our intuition as well when it comes to making decisions and being more conscious about the way that we want to live.
Totally. Absolutely. And that's important because I also am recognizing that as you get older, and you know, y'all, come on, we're all on TikTok or on social media. We see those videos where it's like, I'm in my 30s. Like your 30s is so much better than your 20s because you know your boundaries, you know what you want to say yes and no to. And I feel like the more we can strengthen our intuition, the easier it becomes to then live in alignment, not necessarily always on the defense of setting your boundaries, but just knowing what's for you and what's not for you. Because now, once I know what that feeling is and how good it feels to stay in my habits, to stay in my behavior that also are aligned with the lifestyle that I'm trying to live, when somebody asks me to go outside of that, I literally am like, no, and you really can't make me. And Liv has seen me do this in so many. I'm like, people know that they can't persuade me outside of it because I'm like, I know what's good for me. And I'm disciplined to that practice of what's good for me, not to be stuck in my ways. Of course, I'm always open to novelty and change, and that comes with life. But this certain facet of my lifestyle and what feeds me and what sustains this body of mine, that's on me, and you can't sway me from me. Like, I'm my biggest advocate. And once I know how good I feel, like, no, ma'am.
Absolutely. And bringing this full circle back to the food and my vice with my relationship with food. One thing that I feel called to share is that when you're establishing more consistency and understanding your relationship to food, paying attention to what, again, going off of what you're saying, what feels good, and patting yourself on the back when you don't feel bloated after a meal is equally as important as making the decision to try something else or to not overindulge.
Yes. And we can hold all of those both ands as we start to think about what consistency looks like for us. So whether or not you want to share a little hype of the consistency that you have in your life, we want to hype up with you. So let us know what it is. Or if you're thinking about things in your life that you want to establish more of a routine around, or behaviors that you're trying to commit to yourself and you want to share with community, we want to hold those up with you and cheer you on along that way. We know, one of my favorite authors, Adrienne Marie Brown, talks about small is all. It's in the incremental. So don't try and bite out, the whole apple one bite at a time. But we're here with y'all alongside as we try and think about the best lifestyle that's conducive for us. And we're always learning and we're always vibing. And I'm excited to hear about other people's relationship to consistency.
Same here. Couldn't have said it better, as usual. And we are leaving you all here with peace, love, and blessings. Please take care. Please feed yourselves. Do whatever feels good to you. And with that being said, bye, guys.
Bye. All right, that wraps up our episode this week.
We'd really appreciate if y'all could rate us on Apple and Spotify, as it really helps grow our BGF tribe and support our podcast.
As always, the conversation continues on Instagram and TikTok, so connect with us there if you want to join in on all the keys.
With that said, we will see y'all next time.
Rest well, folks.